Taysom fucking Hill. Like, for real? For real? I mean, come on. Could it be anyone else? Anybody else? Oh, man. This is safe space. This is safe space. And the Badge Bros are tilting their asses off because we knew. We knew. It's not even revisionist history. We knew. We knew it was a good play or a medium play, or it should have at least been in our player pool. And it just wasn't, to the extent in which it got home. Oh, tilting. Let's bring in the boys. What's going on, lads?
What's good? What's good?
Tell us how you really feel, John.
Oh, yeah. But it's so annoying because I threw out a tweet in the morning there when I was drafting teams. I was like, Taysom Hill, it just feels like the week. It just feels like Taysom Hill week. And it actually was. And I only had 4 or 5 lineups with him. And yeah, it was so easy too. It was so simple. It was just like, throw the projections out the window, throw all the garbage and be like, yo, backup quarterback. We really like the game environment. Who can score at the tight end position to break the slate? I don't know, him and Kittle. That was it. That was on the main slate, right? I mean, you could make cases for like 3 or 4 other guys, but it was like, oh yeah, Latavius Murray's gone. Like, maybe he's just going to get some touches, and lo and behold, he breaks the slate, right? On 30% of snaps. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I think when we boil it down, it kind of should have been more top of mind. And I think that's what, I don't really care that he broke the slate. What tilts me is that we should have been more on it, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think in hindsight, just thinking about the game environments that the Seahawks seem to create, which I wasn't sure that they would be able to this week, just because I personally was a little concerned about the Saints defense. I was talking about the whole past week, but clearly the Seahawks defense is just non-existent, and it was smart. Like Olave, if Olave doesn't get hurt, does Taysom get home quite as hard as he did? Who's to say? But even Olave kind of like got you there, even dealing with his injury, unfortunately. But I mean, dang, the Seahawks are just seems like are going to be like the new chalk for the next couple of weeks. I think they're their opponents. That is.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks might be exactly who we wanted the Lions to be.
Right.
Like just fantasy goodness all over the place. Terrible defense. Fast-paced throwing offense, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Numi, your Jefferson shout. Your Jefferson, I mean, he balled out, and you were looking so nice for the first half of that ball game with those Minnesota triples. Like, you were looking so nice for a hot
Kirk got the
there.
Russian touchdown and everything,
Yeah.
I said it to you. I mean, like, I think in hindsight, obviously to look back at Kamara, it's like, Jameis not playing. Taysom's going to be the backup quarterback, plus whatever role he gets in that game. Previous games, he hasn't been getting that role. Granted, he may have been banged up a little bit. I'm not quite sure, but he was still there and he just wasn't getting it. But I still thought like Kamara coming back at that ADP, it's tough. It's like you look back, it's like, Taysom puts up that in the tight end position, the position that we always chase, that has what'll give that replacement level value there. Like that will win it for you. And when you can stack that up with a Josh Allen and a Gabe Davis at the end of the tournament. So like looking back, but like Kamara, what if Kamara gets one of those? You know what I mean? Like what if he still did great. And I know that's easy, but it's like I still think like it's tough for me to go back and be like, yeah, I still think, yes, we should have been over Taysom a little bit more, and we should have brought in the whole backup quarterback narrative. Like he's there with the backup quarterback. Like Jameis is gone. He's going to like he could potentially be getting a lot more. I just think that maybe we were a little too sharp or starstruck with Kamara coming back. Latavius, like they're going to have him run. Look at the value you're getting. I think
about it.
One thing I will say before you is like Kamara also started getting steamed kind of later on in drafts. That's something that if we could have immediately just used our cap and been like, okay, I've seen Kamara go now in the 4th round quite often. And even sometimes people are rare and they're getting him in the 3rd, like they're just drafting him over that because now his projection's up. He's ready to go. He's good to go. So like you see that and it's like, maybe I just instantly get different by now. Like that's something, maybe that's the one thing I think I maybe could have pivoted towards, was like, now Kamara's getting pushed up. Now maybe we go with that Taysom for that leverage, who's really not being drafted. So yeah, I don't know. Just to go on that is when Kamara got pushed up a little bit, that's something that I kind of regret, is chasing Kamara with other people versus finding that instant leverage.
Well, I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, one thing about it is, when we, hey, in the swear jar, port our DFS knowledge, when we see that Chris Olave is getting like 15, 16%, and he's in all these chalk cash builds, and you see that Kamara is in the cash game mix as well because of his 6 and whatever price point, it was like 6.5. Like, when we see all that happening over and over again, and very smart people going in the direction of this game environment, we also have to have the wherewithal to just be like, holy shit, one of the pieces that could break the slate from that game has tight end eligibility on our site. And it's like, okay, we got to be more on this, right? Because it's just a cheat code associated with it. And, people are doing victory laps on their best ball teams because they're taking them in the 18th round and that sort of thing. And he's already made value. He's already paid off value in those best ball contests. So, maybe we should have been more forward thinking, but how are we going to tackle this going forward now? Like, now we're going to see maybe what we saw in, I guess it was week 2 or 3 when he had the 1 touchdown game, but now to another extreme, where is Taysom going off the board in the 4th round for the next week and a bit without Kyle Pitts, without, you know what I mean? Like, is this pushing into next week? Is it just Taysom steam and now it's an auto fade? It creates a weird dynamic. What do you guys think?
I'm hoping that he gets like incredibly steamed next week. I'm not sure what this slate is yet as far as like what games are on there. But I'm hoping
KC.
It's thank God. But I really think that he's running so hot with his efficiency. It's like out of this world how hot, like how efficient he's been. Yeah, he's gonna be a thorn in our sides, and it's gonna be probably like extremely hard to pinpoint. Like, he's probably gonna get another soft matchup, and maybe then in that soft matchup, Taysom doesn't hit. So it's not like 1-to-1 like high totals like plug in Taysom. It's gonna be a bumpy road, and I think I'm going to feel okay about like not playing him as often as I did. Like, I had 3% Taysom. He didn't like help me win a ton of money this week, so I'm not overly I'm not overly bummed. It is what it is, man.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I had the thought, and then I pull up a bunch of my lineups from the 12 persons, and I sat there on the clock with the last pick. I rolled Josh Allen like 6 or 7 times in a row in the 12 mans that morning, and I had him with Gabe and I had him with Shakir like multiple times, and I sat there and I clicked Freiermuth's name 4 out of 5 times instead of just clicking Taysom, and I mean, when you think about it like that, it's like, okay, yeah, Freiermuth represents the bring back. Oh, he's seen an increase in targets. Oh, new quarterback. But then new quarterback also works negatively in terms of the fact that, like, hey, new quarterback might work against him because new quarterback's looking at George Pickens the whole time, right? And it's just like these micro things that I don't think is revisionist history. It should have just been like, yeah, you know what? Freiermuth should have been in 2 of those builds, and insert other tight end should have been in 1 of them. Taysom should have been in 2 of them, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's revisionist history to suggest that, instead of just being like, yeah, I played Freiermuth as the bring back in all of those, right?
Yeah, I think just as the Steeler fan here, just Freiermuth did get concussed. That definitely did not help you.
Yeah, out in the third,
all.
Right? In the third quarter, or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was enough time for Zach Gentry to get three targets for 42 yards. So I mean, potentially something that could have like gone to Muth if he was there. Oh wow, I didn't realize that Penny Numi just commented there as well. Penny out for the season with that tibia. That's Kenneth Walker's music.
Yeah, I mean, that just untapped a big ceiling for Walker, right?
Yeah. It's that's gonna be very interesting, and maybe some more volume for our pass catchers over in Seattle for our boy Geno Smith.
Yeah, who's the backup running back here? Is it Homer or Dallas? Isn't Homer hurt?
Homer's still hurt, and primarily a third down back. I mean, Dallas kind of feels like the backup there. I imagine in most people's home leagues and stuff, Walker's 100% home.
Yeah.
I don't know, because he would be like 50 something on ESPN or something.
Yeah. And like a competitive home league, he's most likely stashed.
Yeah, home leagues. Fuck that shit. Let's talk about the real stuff.
So it looks like you made out in the green, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a couple $100 or whatever.
Green is green.
Yeah, I mean, we're not out here to break even. I'd rather
I know
first or last, baby. First or last.
I know we're alive for another day.
We took the last on the spectrum for you. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, this brings up an interesting dynamic just as an overarching like thought process, because we were talking through off stream there a little bit of the DFS lineups and like talking through how like my cash game lineup for the third time in 5 weeks outscored the majority of my GPP lineups. And now we've seen this thing where the cash builds have smashed, or we've seen weird shit in the showdowns, double kicker, double defense. We've seen kicker in the captain slot take down a millie. We've seen all this weird, 30% owned donk chalk defenses getting home. It's been a very, very strange slate or strange start to the year in these slates. And I don't want us to overreact to anything and be like, hey, we got to draw some definitive conclusions from this. I think we just have to stay the course, keep building for ceiling projections and ceiling outcomes. But it's very interesting that in these contests, the onesie positions, the tight end and you basically could have inserted anybody else in the middle, as long as you had at the very top, you had Josh Allen in the tight end position, you had Taysom Hill, and then you probably needed Gabe Davis as the bring back or something like that. But then there was maybe 10 other names that you could have just inserted in the middle there. Like it didn't really matter.
It felt like that this week. It felt like there was a lot of skill positions for us to choose from. I was all over the board. In my 6-person drafts, I had a ton of exposure to a lot of different players. Didn't cash in the I didn't come out on in profitable in the 6-mans, but I'm shooting for the whale in those anyways. So
yeah. I don't know. I don't know what our takeaways can be from these, but it's becoming apparent that the quarterback ceiling that those top end picks represent has been pretty pivotal thus far, right?
Yeah. Like that's why I didn't have a problem with it last week whenever they were going like all of the studs were going in the first round, because they represent a very like projectable high ceiling. Some of these other skill guys, it's very much hit or miss, but with how good this quarterback play has been, it has not been hard to project like, man, like Jared Goff last week, whatever, but Jalen Hurts had a great game as well. I don't know what his point total was, but I think it was like 28. I don't know if you have any Hurts teams. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he had a very solid game too. Was going really high. I don't have a problem if people want to start their drafts off with Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen and figure the rest out, because there was no like second round, third round pick that you had to have at a skill position that right. You just got to call your shots.
Yeah, and even some of the stuff that we would have deemed nutted stacks for those quarterbacks wasn't necessary either, right? Like you didn't need Jalen plus AJ Brown for Jalen to get home because he got the rush. He has the rushing floor upside, right? You didn't need that dream Stephon Diggs plus Allen because you could get those points elsewhere, right? So the more and more I just kind of like think about it is we truly are looking to hit. We can build in these rules, right? We can build in these correlation rules to give ourselves opportunity at not having to hit all the variables. But the fact of the matter is, in these 6-man drafts, there are so many extreme outlying variables that we are truly just trying to hit a 6-leg parlay, right?
Yeah, that's the truth. Eric G somehow knowing that who the last place was in the PR, that's hilarious.
I mean, big shouts for scrolling all the way down. I was just trying to do it as he dropped the comment, and I was like, I got to get all the way down there and see 20 points. I'd like to know that lineup, Eric. If you have that lineup, please share that lineup, because that's equally as impressive as 178 to me.
You can get there pretty easily. All you have to do is just go click back.
Where am I clicking?
And then click the battle royale.
Yep.
You gotta hammer
and now hammer that arrow
chevron
bar. Yeah, hammer that arrow just over and over. And I guess pretty quickly isn't the word. So you can get there
quickly, dude.
Quicker
I'm at page
than what
60. I'm at page 60
never
and
mind.
I'm looking at
Never mind.
3,000
I'll get there. I'll just keep clicking.
Somebody script something for there. How about if you want to go to the Hail Mary real quick? I want to give a shout out to a guest on the show last week. I forget his name. I think his name was Peter O something.
Oh, yeah.
7th place.
Peter Ozert, Overt,
Ozarks
something
or something
like that. Yeah, something.
Yeah,
like
Overt.
Ozark?
Yeah. He said he drafted this on stream too. I didn't catch Club Top Shot, but good for him. I'm sure we had something to do with this, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's very nice of him to come on our stream and draft fucking Teddy Bridgewater instead of this nice Seattle triple. I mean, I you know what? I think Jennings made this team. I'm going to just go right out there. Jennings made this team. Pete had nothing to do with it. He didn't want any part of Taysom Hill. No, nice team for Pete. That's a nice week there. Nice little.
That's not even a bad team that finished dead last.
What was
Teddy,
it?
Damian Harris.
It's on the
Teddy,
screen.
Assuming
Damian
the one that
Harris, Hill.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we built that team. We built the double.
Exactly.
We built the double Teddy stack, and then we built the Hawk plus Harris. We just didn't have AJ Brown. We had somebody else.
Yeah, it was Ramondre, dude. I started pivoting to Ramondre, and I got so sad. I was just like, I should have just went full-fledged Ramondre in this game script. I was thinking Ramondre the entire time. I know Damian got hurt, so whatever. But I was just thinking, like, in this game script, but that didn't matter. I mean, the Lions weren't competitive. So actually, if Harris was still there, he probably was getting a majority of those carries. So
yeah, I mean, it's just you just got to chalk it up to like that's always going to be a split backfield, and I wanted to attack a bad Lions rush defense, but you just have to eat the fact that it's 100% going to be basically a split all the time, and the pass catching role will favor Ramondre. Let's focus on this winning lineup just for a second. Like, it's unfortunate. We wanted to debut the new winner circles graphic. I reached out to every DJ M4 whatever on Twitter that I could find. I scrolled through Discords. The guy's a ghost. That he or she is a ghost. So we didn't have it, but Allen with Gabe Davis was nice. We talked about that all week, how Gabe Davis was free. And why not just mix him in on the back end there? Allen could get home without him. No Pittsburgh side bring back, because what we talked about, how basically Buffalo does not need to be pushed, and they'll just keep their foot on the gas and they'll be fine without being pushed on the other side. Eckler finds his way, all that positive touchdown regression that we were talking about that we loved last week. He finds it all again this week in a trailing game script. Dalvin Cook, who we shouted from the rafters that we loved with that 20 ADP, how he could just find the end zone multiple times, and he was still getting all the work, had 20 touches the week before, and then he comes out here and finds the end zone twice. Yeah, twice. And
twice.
It's just, and then we talked about how we loved Mike Williams with Keenan Allen out, how he just plays that alpha X receiver role. And I mean, this is a great team. I'm not sure where you guys land on the same side correlation with no bring back in the Chargers game, with no Herbert and no bring back from the Cleveland side. Are you guys cool with that? I mean, is that something you guys were entertaining?
I saw it a lot, and I just kept seeing it a lot. And I mean, it's I think it's the same thing you can do with like on a top offense. Like, we came into this season talking about the Bills, the Chargers. Like, we want this pieces. No Keenan Allen out. You take no Keenan Allen out, and Jared Levitt was basically non-existent. Like, these were the two guys that ate. So I think it's the same thing of the Dalvin Jefferson, and especially these guys being maybe less less expensive, or maybe more middling expensive without the discrepancy between like the 3rd and the 20th player. I think that's totally fine. I mean, I talked about it before that I didn't mind Cook Jefferson. So in this scenario, you're just betting that game just goes out, or just goes, or the scenario there, those are the two guys you need. And I mean, they spread it around a lot, but I'm pretty sure I don't even know if Williams got the touchdown. He just got the volume. So yeah, he just got 10 on 134. So
in the 4 weeks that Keenan Allen has now been out, he's gone 8 over 101. He had the one-off versus Jacksonville where he just had the touchdown and Palmer kind of took over that one. And then he went over 100 on 7 and he went over 100 on 10. So, I mean, I think we're pretty safe to just be like, yeah, we know what Mike Williams is in that Joe Lombardi scheme as the X without Keenan Allen on the field. And he should have been thrust up our draft boards, right? I mean, like,
yes, sir.
Yeah, I was on this game. I really liked this game. I mentioned the Cup and Higbee pairing without Stafford, and this was honestly very applicable here. I had way more Herbert than I did either a duo pairing of Mike Will and Eckler, but yeah, the Browns I think still have interesting fantasy upside when it comes to their game environments, depending on who they're playing. So it's just nice to see like, okay, that game actually did produce some 50K winners, knowing that was something that I wanted to be on, but wasn't on quite as much as I needed to be.
Yeah, I like that. Yo, big shout out, Michael. We always see him in the chat and stuff, shipping a 4K in the goal line slam.
That's huge, man.
Only Taysom team. Man, we love seeing this. Like, keep tagging us on this stuff on Twitter. Keep shouting yourselves out. There's no shame around here. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. We celebrate wins here.
Dance. Let's go. Damn straight we do. We dunk on our opponents and we celebrate wins. Let's go. We make each other feel bad when we lose, when we're all in the red, eh?
Yeah, that's how we do. That's awesome, man. That'll keep you playing for a whole year.
Yeah, big shouts there. Oh, man. It's just bringing up DJ Moore here. Just rubbing. I was all on that. In the 12 teams, I was doing the Jeff Wilson with the DJ Moore bring back a lot on like 0 RB builds. Like, I thought Jeff Wilson was so undervalued in these contests.
100%.
I mean, 4 straight 100-yard rushing games. He was getting all the touches. We knew we didn't like that game environment all that much. And, if that game still stays close and Tevin Coleman isn't the guy who gets those other 2, Jeff Wilson might have broke the slate, right?
Yeah. We could be having a different conversation here for sure.
And big shouts to Leone because he pushed him way up in the projections.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason we were on him, is he name dropped him and then he pushed him up in the projections. Same with the Mostert one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I think Paul's referring to DJ Moore as when you said you reached out to everyone. DJ M. Yeah, he's like.
But it's nice.
Good, Paul.
We did get some good news about DJ Moore with Matt Rule being fired. I think that can only be a positive for DJ Moore, right? I mean,
we just need Baker Mayfield out of there, or maybe we see what Baker does without Matt Rule for a game.
Baker might be hurt. I mean, Baker's in a walking boot right
Sam
now.
Darnold coming up from the grave.
No, PJ Walker.
PJ Walker, baby.
Yeah,
give me
Team XFL. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
God,
give me PJ.
So much of PJ Walker. We don't need anymore.
Oh, I love it.
I'd rather have Christian McCaffrey being the quarterback, bro. Like, come on, what are you doing here?
I bet we might see some Wildcat. They damn near should. I mean,
exactly. Just do it do what you do, or do what the Giants do with Saquon. When they get down to the goal line, just Saquon's running the shotgun.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? For my money,
insanely.
For my money, this second place team is a better lineup than the team that won first.
I know like the results are saying otherwise, but like, getting Lenny over Eckler there, I would have advocated for that every time if somebody was asking me.
Yeah, it was a 1v1 of Lenny versus Eckler, and Lenny projected so strong this week. He was in everybody's cash games. I don't know. People were scared off because of like the whole Rashard White narrative and stuff, but that game was weird, and he just can't play. Like, Lenny will break down if he plays 90% of snaps for the entirety of the season, but his usage was insane prior to the week before this, week 4, right? So I think we all got a little skittish on him for no reason. I don't know. Maybe that's a little revisionist. Maybe it was like kind of like, hey, there was a bit of a changing of the guard here, but still.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was less worried about the usage and more so like just was unsure of, because of his inefficiency and being Atlanta, you know, was it going to be a Brady like torch game? Like I was very conflicted about what to do with Lenny. Even with the, you know, Rashad still got his usage.
Rashad got plenty of touches out there too.
Yeah, and Lenny got home. He got the touchdowns, and yeah, that was a nice game for him. He was popping on a lot of like the projections and stuff, so that kind of like made me start to change my mind a little bit. But yeah, check out this tweet here.
I gave away all the best plays, and not one person on planet Earth still hasn't liked it.
All the best plays, sir. What did Debo do? What did Brady and Godwin do? What did Kittle and CMC do? What did Kamara do? What did Damian Harris do?
These were they're the best plays, man. They were the best plays. Nobody cares about results. They like the best plays.
I like your tight end Taysom one better. That's the one you should have showed there. That's the victory lap, and no one on planet Earth liked this tweet. I was gonna go back and like it, but you would have the timestamps on that.
Interesting team just here with some of these double New Orleans play.
I was actually in this draft, and I was waiting on Kamara to come back in this build. I'm like 95% sure. I don't think this guy played a ton of them, and I was in this draft with him. And it was, you know, this is a 6-team draft too. So to go, but first of all, for Kamara to definitively get drafted was, you know, it wasn't a certainty, right? And then to pair him with Taysom felt okay. I don't know. I think it's just a weird week where a lot of interesting things got home and happened. Let's talk about Amon-Ra for a second, because I wanted to pick your guys' brain here. Amon-Ra, Glazer held on to that little nugget where he might only play 20 to 30 snaps and this sort of thing, and we didn't get it till lock. My mind was all week was Amon-Ra's leverage, keep taking him late. Yep. And then he comes out and he does play, and it's like, yes, great, he's playing. And then he doesn't play, right? Like he plays, I can't remember the exact number. I'll pull it up here.
I think it's like 30%.
He played like 21 snaps or something like that.
21 snaps. So percentage wise, what was that? Yeah. And then we talked about how like the Lions were, you know, he played 32% of snaps, 21 snaps. We talked about how the Lions were like, hey, we're going to find out in a heartbeat if they're a fraud going into Foxborough, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, maybe they're right.
I hate when I just gotta say, I hate when Glazer gets home. I hate when the Glazer news turns out to be true. I want him to be wrong every time he comes out, like little access merchant, like, oh, by the way, like Amon-Ra's not gonna play. Like,
right.
I get off whenever he's wrong. I'm like, screw you, man. You think you a little plugged in, whatever. Yeah. How about that?
Naked Gino. Okay, I'll bring that up in a second here, Michael. I want to look at that. That was the Hail Mary that he was referring to. It was goal line. Okay, I'll bring that up in a second. Yeah, this is basically what I was alluding to. Is Amon-Ra this week, like playing him as the swap, playing him as the, if he plays, he's going to be a full go, because why the fuck would they play him knowing that they have the bye next week if he's not 100%, right? And then the Lions come out and they do the Lions unspeakable shit. And they do
Lions. Yeah,
they do Lions. Yeah, they do Lions. They're like, yeah, here's our best player, our most invested player going forward, and we're just gonna throw him out there for 30% of snaps and maybe just like test.
DeAndre, how you feeling? Like, you want to go out there for a series or two?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's that illogical, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I 100% like it. We're talking about it, and we're like, I mean, and that is almost as just infuriating as us sitting here and clock management right now in the NFL. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Clock management and injury management. It's like, what are we doing? Like, it's like, you're not going to bring them out there. Like, come on, let's think about this. The bye's next week. We're talking it through. We get the sharp people on here. Yes, that makes total sense. Like, if he's going to play, he's going to play. And then it's just like, you know what? Nah, we're only gonna have him out here a little bit, not even a decoy, just 30% of snaps. And it's like, Dan Campbell,
what are we doing here?
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. This nice team from Raise It, friend of the show, Michael, here in the chat hanging out. Claps. He does what Nez did with one of his squads there, or what Pete did with the Seattle triple. I mean, getting Geno with both the pass catchers and then the run back being Taysom. I imagine, being a volume player like Mike is and stuff like that. I imagine he had combinations of this already built where he had Kamara as the run back, where he had Kamara as the run back, or he had Olave as the run back. And then one of the times he was like, yo, I got to get cute and get Taysom in here. And that's how he ended up with one Taysom lineup, like he alluded to. But, the nice Chubb Williams mini that Nez talked up during the week from the kind of, it turned into having to be a first round, third round. But in this case, he probably had to push it up in the 12-person draft, and it would have been a first, second, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then
I kind of like that in the 12 mans, just like calling, like for me, I was really into like Derrick Henry this week. And I kind of like locking up that alpha running back and then like going and then looking at other pass catchers in the 12 mans. But there's a lot of different ways you could have went here, but I was very much into like grabbing Geno in those as well. But sorry, continue.
No. I think that's a sharp point to bring up. It's very interesting just to see how these slates have materialized differently, right? Where we go from one slate where it's like you had to have Lions with Seattle bring back, and that was like we all needed that. And then there was was it the same slate or a different slate where it's like you had to have Henry because nobody else got home, and you had to have Henry and the 2 touchdowns. And then you go to this slate, and it's like you kind of could have had anyone as long as you had Taysom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, Josh Allen plus Gabe is probably the stones. Like, that was probably the nuts, and you needed it with no bring back and Taysom. But then you kind of could have just had whatever the shit else you wanted to fill in there. Interested to hear your guys' take on just Seattle in general and Geno, going forward here. Like, what are we doing with this? Are we buying this? Like, is Geno better than Russ? Like, is it a let Geno cook season now? I don't know.
I will say to your guys' points, like, I think Seattle is that Detroit offense that we talked about, because when you look, just doing a quick, like, points forced in the NFL, Seattle's 7th, but then points allowed, Seattle's 2nd. And you look at
that's funny that you just alluded to that, because I was literally looking for that graphic. I saved it earlier.
PFF offensive grade, Seattle 8. PFF defensive grade, Seattle all the way at 30. So it's like, it's funny. And Nez sent me a message on like Saturday or something, and he was going through the blitz, and he goes, the blitz likes Seattle like a lot, like loves them. And I'm just like, yeah, like that made me interested. And I started attacking that game, and I tried to get more Geno. Never got any Taysom Hill. It was all Olave or Kamara. But yeah, I think going forward, this is, until we get proven otherwise, which it doesn't look like we're gonna, they just look like they're just going to let Geno cook. Like they're just going to let Geno cook. And I think with that defense being that bad, you're going to get that many more opportunities from that offense.
Yeah. So, they don't have a choice. And he looks good. Dude. He looked good. It's hard to say that,
right? It's hard to say Geno Smith looks good. Like he looks really freaking good. And it's like,
but like,
okay, pinch me.
Yeah. Like I was just waiting for, for me to be proven otherwise, and for like waiting, because I saw it. I wasn't alone seeing it last year. Like, wow, he looked really good. Like he looked very serviceable. And now he's doing it again this year. Like that is exciting. That is great news, because now, unfortunately we lost Rashad Penny. Like again, poor guy just can't stay healthy, but now we have even more projectable fantasy usage, which is like great for us, right? Because now we know in certain games, like it makes it extremely predictable.
It makes it more concentrated, which is not a bad thing for us. Yeah, exactly.
We love that. So that to me is great news, that they've continued to fire on all cylinders. Geno is able to maximize the awesome talents that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are, and they're so unique. They contrast each other very well. This is great news for us, and it's great news for football too, because now we have a game that isn't a bad watch, because Seattle's at least going to give you something.
They're at least going to be fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're at least going to be fun.
It's hard to argue with the numbers, man. Like if you just look at his numbers and you just pull out his numbers and you just went, all right, now who's this quarterback? And people went, I don't know, but that guy's balling.
Yeah, the blind resume. Yeah, the blind resume test.
Yeah, it really is something. So
I want knee jerk reaction right here. Like just say a name. No, I want no fucking analysis. I don't want any of this BS. I just want a name. Okay,
yes,
you ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Rest of season right now. Okay. All right. Geno Smith or Derek Carr?
Geno Smith.
Derek Carr.
Okay. Geno Smith or Aaron Rodgers?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
Oh yeah. Geno Smith or Russ Wilson?
Oh my Lord.
Geno Smith.
Wow. I mean, it's crazy.
Geno Smith, man.
I have no problem. I have no problem going for the recency.
Geno Smith or Dak Prescott?
Is it even okay? Man, Dak. I don't know. Dak? It's close. That one's the only, like, it's crazy that Dak is the closest one, but it's just like,
it's wild that we're having this conversation to begin with, right?
And I think Levitan, clip this for later when we're crazy.
Levitan threw a tweet out this morning. I don't have it in front of me, but basically showing the next upcoming matchups for Seattle. And it's just like, oh my God, like this might not stop. Yeah, like this, he gets Arizona coming this week.
I looked at that too, yeah. Yeah,
right.
That's
like
what
Arizona
I was trying to.
Yeah, is that a chalk game for us now? Like,
that's what Chad puts in here, and he's gonna go hard after Kyler and the Cards next week, and it's like, yeah, what?
Yeah, that's a 51.5 total right now.
Yeah, if you want to talk about what's gonna stop Kyler, I don't know if it's gonna be this defense. This might be the concern for Kyler if he can't get home in this matchup type deal. Like, what are we doing? But yeah, no, I mean, I know it's been 5 games, but at some point we have to start taking in the data a little bit for what it is. And we can't just ignore it. Like, that's just, you can't just go off recency bias, but you can't also just ignore some of the data that were like, these are the trends of the season. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, when I just look at Geno Smith, it's crazy. He's at the top of the board. I mean, it's just, he's higher than this. Yeah.
When you look at this graphic, like, it's just incredible to see so much fantasy goodness from Seattle here, like almost that Kansas City level where, like, hey, we're going to play fast. We're going to put up offensive adjusted yards, and we're going to allow them on defense, right? Like, not to the same extent.
What are these values again? These offensive defensive values?
They're adjusted yards per game.
Gotcha.
Allowed. Like, so your offensive yardage per game, and then your allowed yardage per game by the defense.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then just like a net total on there. But like, the thing is, like, obviously, like, Buffalo and the Eagles are like huge outliers up here because they might just be juggernauts on both sides of the ball. But when we're looking at this, I mean, we're looking for like these sneaky in between spots. Like, basically the Broncos are the inverse of what we want to see from a fantasy perspective, where like, we don't want their defense like playing well, right? Like, we don't want their defense playing well and their offensive playing poorly, and then they become like this run heavy team, right?
Which I think you brought up, not to like get on like a whole like football tangent here, but you brought up Dak Prescott versus like Geno Smith, and I think that is like I said, Dak Prescott in that comparison, but that is one of the problems right now for the Cowboys is that like their defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And so, Dak won't necessarily be asked to do more than he really has to, is like my fear. But I think he represents in the right matchup a pretty nice ceiling, but he could struggle to score 20 points as a fantasy player in some of these games if the Cowboys defense just keeps doing all the work for him.
And I think with that Rashad Penny injury, that just means now they're down a running back who they wanted to run the ball with. This just, I mean, in theory, they're going to lean on Geno more. Like, I know they're going to have Kenneth Walker. Like, maybe they do the same, which is perfect. You know what I mean? In theory, they're not getting a running back or anything. They lost a running back. So it just seems like, everything's pointing like wheels up for the Seahawks right now, which is just, I saw a tweet. I think it was Ian Harditz. He just goes like, Geno Smith took, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett's ADPs personally. Like, he's this is insane. Like, all I'll say is just if Spags had Geno instead of Drew Lock, man, that guy would just
his Seahawks bit, man, it was so close to getting home.
Doesn't look like, unless an injury, does not look like Locke will be seeing the field.
If only they had swaps in best ball.
God, if only.
God. Yeah, right before the season starts, you go Geno.
Yep.
That would be crazy.
Okay, let's jump into tonight. These 2-game slates are a lot of fun. You guys were drafting. I think I got maybe like 20 of them. I just want to say overarching how hard these 2-game slates are, because and I think we can use me as an illustration here between the Thursday, Sunday morning. If you look at, I guess I have to look at it in totality. Where's the exposure tab?
When it's results, I have not found out how to do that.
Weird.
You can find exposures
mobile, right?
On mobile.
Oh, It has to be on mobile. Gotcha. Darn.
Or maybe...
Okay, well, here, take my word for it. Here, let just to illustrate a point, like how difficult this is, because I did screen grab it, and I think I sent it to you guys in our Discord here. But I just want to illustrate a point about how we are only basically chasing the nuts. Like that's what we are doing, because this is taking years off my life and is terrible dead air. Apologies. But I think the point is somewhat relevant. Okay, just to illustrate, from this Thursday contest, 32 entries, I made $70, which means I lost money, right? My exposures in this contest were 50% Cortland Sutton, who was basically the highest scoring player on Thursday night amongst the wide receiver position. I had 41.7% Saquon Barkley. He was the highest scoring player on this slate. I want to say that definitively, but he was the highest scoring running back for sure. I think he was the highest scoring player as well. I then had Mike Boone at 33.3, and I had Alec Pierce at 33.3. Okay. Yep. I made no money. And it's all because of Randall Cobb. And it just speaks to how precise and how dialed we have to be on these 2 games, which speaks even further to how diverse we have to get at the back end of these drafts to give ourselves a chance. Because even with all that consolidated exposure around the best plays and me getting these builds, I got exposed by not having Randall Cobb or not having a swap to Randall Cobb or something of this magnitude.
You fool.
Right? I'm an idiot. Like, genuinely, I should have had
your
some
badge
exposure,
is taken
right?
away, sir. No, just kidding.
But and I don't mean this to be results oriented and woe is me. I played the best plays and I didn't win. Like, fuck that shit. I don't care. I like, just from a pure theoretical like thought process standpoint, is we have to give ourselves exposure to the potential nuts. And I did not do that by not taking at least a share or 2 of Randall Cobb when building with a GPP mindset. I built these as if they were a cash game and thought I knew the answers to the test already when football, right?
It feels hard not to draft like with a cash mindset in these games and in these 2 slates. Excuse me. Just because the player pools are so incredibly shallow, especially whenever we're dealing with the freaking Packers and Giants, who the Giants had like 3 straight plays where dudes touched the ball who I'd never heard of before. I was absolutely baffled. Like, hats off to Coach Dable for getting a dub there. That was unreal. That was unreal. So that's just the nature of it, and we're going to deal with it again. At least we know the names of the shallow players in this next primetime slate, but wow, the Giants just getting it done with, misfit toys is incredible.
Yeah, literally. Like, without their 3 or 4 highest projected wide receivers to start the season, right? Like, without Wandell, without Tony, without Galladay, and without Shepard.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, that's wild.
Hats off.
I just think, I think it's a great point to bring this out. Like, just maybe the spots to get different and have that big exposure, like have that flat distribution of exposure, is those late end guys, because it's a 2-game slate. If one of those guys puts up that 13 and the other game does what it did, or even if it didn't do what it did and it had a little more high scoring, like, you need that guy. You need that one random guy in the low end, like Taysom Hill. You needed Taysom Hill because he was the 6th round free guy that you could pair with anyone else. Randall Cobb was most likely that last round guy, if not second to last, barring Daniel Bellinger. I'm assuming Bellinger was drafted a little higher just because that's kind of how tight ends go on these. So it's just like,
he was.
Yeah, I think that's a great
tight end off the board.
Yeah, I just think that's a great point. Like, and it's something like going in here and just immediately getting like just different in your last picks, but continually getting different. Not saying like and I guess if you have an exploitative strategy and you're like, I'm gonna go all in on this last guy, because to Sheep's point, if like he has a 10 or condensed target tree, like Dobbs has been, or is Dobbs out? Dobbs was out, right?
No, he was playing.
He was playing. I thought someone was out for them. Maybe not.
Christian Watson got hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't. It was during the game. I was thinking, but so like you get that. You think like, just what Aaron, like you just something like that. It's just getting different with these last guys, because they're more than likely will be or someone that will bury you in these last spots. And it's like, it's so fun to draft that first 4 rounds and get all those guys to fall to you. But like, how often we've gotten this super team to fall to us, and then you still need those last two. You need that last guy to put you over the top, because most likely someone else has that team or something very similar. So absolutely. I don't know, long tangent, but yeah, I think that's a great way to go about it. It's just getting more in that GPP mindset, because I'm definitely in the cash mindset as well.
Yeah, I think it's the GPP mindset of like, we're trying to bank that last piece that can, in a 2-gamer, that player doesn't have to put up 20 and break the slate. That player could just put up 9 and that breaks the slate, right? But you just have to have exposure to that one-off. But this is an interesting point that Cheap brings up, because I think he's alluding to the fact that like these teams don't have condensed target trees, because there were so many wide receivers in this player pool for that game environment, right? So I think my mind with it, that's why I consolidated so heavily around Sutton, was it was kind of like, well, we know Sutton's going to be that guy, and that guy was the only that guy other than Pittman on that slate, right? It was kind of like those would be the 2 guys where, I was harping on that, and then I should have been sprinkling diversity around the rest of it. But let's pivot that into the context of this slate, because we got 2 teams tonight in the Vegas and Chiefs game here, where it's like, we think there's a very condensed target tree on the Vegas side, but now maybe Matt Collins has thrown that off a little bit. We'll see. This is the first time with everybody back, right? And then on the other side of the ball, the Chiefs are kind of like very script dependent in terms of who they're going to be targeting, right? Like it could just as easily be a Clyde game as it could be a Pacheco game if they're up by 1 million scores and they're running with him, or it could be they're trailing and it's a McKinnon game, right? Or anyways, so just looking like pivoting to this game environment, where do your guys' eyes go? Let's start at the top. Where do your guys' eyes go with like this kind of 1-0-1 and where you want to go on this slate?
I think you know my answer.
Yeah.
What is your answer?
Kelsey.
Yeah.
But the thing that is very interesting that I wanted to get your guys' take on is, after Devontae Adams and I guess Terry, like these wide receivers are gross, and you need 2. So that's the only thing that's made me go like, sometimes I've gone Devontae, sometimes not one. I mean, I think I actually maybe did. I've only done 3. So I think I have 2 Kelsey and a Devontae. And it's just like, yes, you go off projections, go off ceiling projections, whatever, Hunter Renfro's back. It's just like, after Adams, McLaurin, Samuel, which I guess McLaurin and Samuel are a little bit better with Dotson out, but like it just, you only have that one alpha. You just have the one big alpha in Devontae. And it's just kind of like, if you don't pick it, I've just gotten to the end of these drafts. And I mean, I have a Mac Hollins and like a De'Ami Brown and Equinemius St. Brown. It's like, I have these guys to pick from, and it's like, ugh. And then you get tight end. It's like, yeah, they're gross, but maybe Kelsey doesn't get the script and one of these guys can get there enough. So that's the thing I've been balancing in my head. I don't know. What about you, Nez? What's your 101?
I think Kelsey's for sure the 101. But one thing I think is interesting is just looking at the game with the Chiefs and Raiders, and I'm really into the Raiders, like all of them. I do think that I'm not expecting big things from Mac Hollins, but I think he's earned at least snaps on the field. And what I think is interesting is Rich Highbar, Lord Reeves, aka very, very sharp guy, as most should know, has a nice tweet about Josh Jacobs here, talking about how it's he's back into a 11 personnel heavy offense, meaning 3 wide receivers on the field, which means lighter boxes because they have to respect not only the wide receivers that are on the field now that they've got Renfro back, who is a respected wide receiver. I don't care what you say.
He's also an outfielder for the Brewers.
Yeah, take your pick. Renfro back, Adams back, Waller back. Defenses have to respect that, and Josh Jacobs is running very well right now. Those light boxes have been extremely beneficial for him, and his light box rate in the past 3 years, where he hasn't necessarily like exploded for fantasy wise, 30% in 2021 and 2020, 16%, 2019, 21%, 40% this year in light boxes with a 6 yards per carry on those runs. I'm very, very intrigued with Josh Jacobs, and I will probably, I don't know that I will reach, but he's definitely like a major target of mine tonight.
Interesting.
I like that a lot. One thing I do want to say about Kelsey real quick is that the thing that made me my 101 is per PFF and their tight end matchup tool. And he just clears anybody by near 15 or 16%. Like his advantage is off the board. His Tenzel Perriman is his matchup is what they have on there. Regardless, we can't go off that, but like it's off the board. Like the Raiders are sieves to tight ends. Like so that's just something that is also in my mind. It's just like primetime Kelsey. Raiders just simply cannot cover a tight end to save themselves. So that's another thing that's just interesting with me. So
I think it just highlighting your guys' 2 targets kind of in the first round there, it does present something where if we fade the quarterback position and we trust the kind of like rushing floor of Fields, because Fields goes last basically every single time, we could get quite exploitative here and kind of get Kelsey at the 1-2 every time, right? Because it's basically him or Mahomes going 1. Adams has jumped up there a couple times. Freezer actually took Adams first overall. But my biggest thing with tight end on this slate is the fact that everyone right now is drafting John Bates, and I think it's a huge mistake. Everyone is going, okay, I got hung out to dry and I'm drafting John Bates, when we can go all the way down here and draft Logan Thomas. And Logan Thomas is a lot easier to backstack with the quarterback than Kelsey is to stack with Mahomes, because nobody's getting Kelsey Mahomes on this slate. So I think it does introduce a little bit of leverage in my mind, where it's like, I'm not suggesting that Logan Thomas is Travis Kelsey, but I'm suggesting that if I punt tight end here and I start just getting a little exploitative in the first by just mixing and matching some combination of that over and over again, and then finding my way to a Thomas Wentz mini, I'm kind of fine with it too. But I think that makes this slate really fun to build, because we can take it the other direction, like you guys are saying, and we can go avoid quarterback in the first round and say we have the second pick, someone takes Mahomes, we take Kelsey right away, and then they go quarterback or someone goes mini stack with Adams, and then we get the run back in Josh Jacobs. That's our exposure right there to that game environment. And that's probably, outside of Kelsey plus Mahomes, that's probably our most nutted exposure. You could make a case for Mahomes plus Jacobs or Mahomes plus Adams or something like that. But yeah.
I do think Derek Carr is going to have a ton of volume tonight as well. I think that he's probably a lock for 20 fantasy points. But it's just interesting with like the rest of this game. I haven't drafted any of these yet, but I'm not quite sure how high Carr is going to go, so I'm really intrigued by how these lobbies play out and how far they let QB fall.
It's normally Mahomes, and then Carr kind of goes anywhere in that 2nd to 3rd round range.
Gotcha.
And then it's kind of like
much sooner than that.
Yeah, I would say kind of back end 2nd. It could. I mean, I haven't seen him in the 1st, but I've only done 3. So yeah, and then normally
I've yet to see him fall past the 2nd round.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Yeah, and one of mine, and my first one, he actually went past like the 2nd. Like the into the 3rd round with the first pick, so it doesn't, whatever. But yeah, I think there's so many different ways to build this, and it makes it just really interesting. Like one of my builds are, what did I do? Man, they're just disgusting wideouts. So, I mean, Justin Field. Okay, well, I there's this guy. His name is John. He likes bully tight end. He got in my head. I like to do it. Justin Fields, Clyde, Diami Brown, Equanimous St. Brown, Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. It's just.
I don't mind that at all.
I mean Carson Wentz, Diami Brown, Montgomery.
Okay, nobody
Collins.
cares about your fantasy teams, man.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, once you do double tight end, the wide receivers are gross.
I agree. If you get exploitative and you go, hey, I'm going to go bully tight end, I'm going to push people out of this room, and I'm going to take the 2 highest projected tight ends, you do not leave yourself with very much. It's pretty thin. And my choice right now on this slate is to get thin at running back opposed to getting thin at wide receiver, because I would rather have, some pieces of this upper echelon of these wide receivers, because even those names aren't gross. And then I will take my chances at the running back position at, 6 Khalil Herbert touches, JD McKissick in a trailing script, 6 catches. I will take trailing script Jerick McKinnon. I will take Isaiah Pacheco. They're up by 4 scores and he's just pounding the rock to end the clock for 11 touches. And then I will take Brian Robinson, expanded workload this week, now that he's kind of like back, right? But he already out-touched the ball. He already out-touched both running backs on the ground in his first game back, right? Anyways, that's
he looked good. I mean, he didn't have a lot of room to run, but he looked good.
I can't even tell you eye test wise. All I can tell you is I know he got 9 carries. I know JD McKissick was working over in the pass catch role. And Eric brings up one here. The Sky Moore one's kind of fun, where it's like we saw Sky's role, like, finally being active and finally, expanding, where I think he had 4 targets last week for 2 catches or something. And it's just kind of like, well, he's being utilized, and we know Juju's not 100%. He went limited practice, DNP, or full limited, one of the two, where he kind of had that negative trend. He's going to play tonight, and they've switched his status to probable. But just, we're just thinking out loud through potential avenues of this game. Like Sky Moore makes a lot of sense as break the slate wide receivers who are available late, right? Because I think we can only make the case for the back end of this as, Sky Moore, Diami Brown. We saw it this week with the 2 long touchdown grabs on only, or I guess was one of them a touchdown or both of them were touchdowns?
Both
were touchdowns.
Yeah, he was putting up like a kind of like a Walmart brand Randy Moss stat line type thing. It's like 2 for
I like that.
2 for 100, 2 touchdowns. It wasn't quite Gabe Davis doing his best.
Poor man's Gabe Davis. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, 2 160 and 2 or something.
Yeah, and then like I kind of like, we're gonna mix these back end wide receivers here because we have to, kind of thing. But I kind of do taking a little exploitative stance on this Sky Moore versus Hardman, environment, and just going, maybe it's Sky now. Maybe it's Sky. Now that he's been active, maybe he's getting more looks. Maybe he's working over, just based on, granted it's a 1-week sample and whatever, but yeah, just based on what we've been seeing there. What do you guys say? Anything else you guys want to add, macro level stuff, or you want to jump in a draft here and have a laugh and light some money on fire?
I'm ready to draft, man. Let's see how challenging these rooms really are right now.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get in there. Good people in the chat, bring those badges. Let's jam.
I'm not sure that I'm ready to. Sky Moore is super interesting. He really is, but I don't know that I'm ready to like dive in and take that plunge. I don't know, man. I was really excited about him coming into the season, taking him a lot in best ball, but watch him be the guy you need now that I've officially like labeled my negative stance. But gosh, I know everybody's got to be thinking the same thing, right? Like I damn near look at him as like a no, like a do not click right now. Personally. Okay. Like, but yeah, interesting. But I need to get more on him. I wasn't super familiar with the get more work. I guess I glossed over that he was actually starting to get into the mix a little bit more. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. Remind me, John, what website is that for the snap shares and everything?
Football Guys.
This is on Football Guys. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's great. Dude, I wish there was a website that just had all of these nice condensed like this. You know, you have your grades, you have your advanced stats, and all that. Just on one website. I just having to bump between all these and going. It's like, ugh. I know. First world probs. Yeah.
Can we talk about Jahan Dotson for a second? Is he IR right now? Like the hamstring?
Just out, I believe.
He's just out. Yep.
Okay. Oh, we're on the clock here. Do we want to go with the Kelsey here?
Damn right.
Damn right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah, Dotson had the hamstring and is out. I don't know if there's any leverage to consider.
What's his thing? Is he out right now, or is it questionable, or
he's questionable?
Okay,
so I mean, maybe maybe there's a little leverage right there. Yeah, I mean, if he had the doubtful tag, we're just talking to how thin wide receiver is right now. I mean, and then here, Sheep's bringing up the fact that he's talking about Cam Sims. Like Cam Sims has been in Washington forever, and when somebody gets hurt, like him and John Bates just come in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's very funny how that works.
Do we want to? We can take Carr on the way back.
I like.
Let's get ahead at running back here. You like that, or you guys like this?
Either one.
Sorry, I'm lagging right now, but I think David Montgomery's fine. Just projecting the usage.
Yep, and that's the thing I think with these running backs. I like that is like, when I pulled up these running backs. I mean, yeah, you got Jacobs, who is my clear 1-1, but then after that, it's like, if I don't get Jacobs, I really want to get Demont or Clyde. I want to try, and then after that, it's kind of just punt that position for me, like Pacheco. I wanted to shout out Nez, who has a full-on out to winning the primetime Palooza, or the other one. For tonight.
Wait, what are we going to do? Do you guys like taking Terry and then ending up with Naked Fields paired with Montgomery? Because we basically just assume that risk.
I think that's fine. I mean, Daniel Jones and Barkley got there. So, I mean, what's in a 2-game slate? Yeah, I don't know.
I kind of like our narrative of rather having the skill position players than the quarterback, unless they're paired with somebody. I mean, like, you can definitely make a case for taking Carr there, but after Renfro goes and we don't have Waller or Adams, we just know there's going to be better Carr teams, right? So I think the best case scenario for us right now is Wentz doesn't go and we get another free pick before we have to take quarterback, and it ends up with Wentz, which is exactly what's about to happen for us. You know, unless this guy goes a little rogue. Yeah. So he takes Carr to box us out. We end up with best case scenario where it's Wentz here. What do you guys like in general here?
So for assuming we're going to go Wentz, I think maybe save that dot. I mean, I kind of like that dots and Q tag. I don't know.
What if you did Wentz now to secure? Well, you don't.
No, we don't have to. We don't have to. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we have a free pick right now, and we're about to squander it. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm out on consulting the team anymore. These are John's drafts now. Fuck this. We're going out.
Hey.
We ended up with the worst player on the slate.
we did. Yeah. Who wants Gibson? McKissick is like probably guaranteed to outscore him now. But I like taking. I like,
We're gonna end up with this, but that Gibson pick was fucking tragic.
I would have just went Wentz there, and even though you don't need to, I mean, at that point, there's just no other.
You can't take. There's no way to take Wentz there. It's just illogical. Like, you can't give like this free picks here, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if he's gonna Cole Kmet it and Brian Robinson it,
it's just for the. It's the principle.
Yeah, it's the principle. We can't.
So, like, who would you take without Wentz there? Like, who would you have taken?
Not not Gibson.
I get that. Gibson. Like Mac Hollins,
especially in this bat.
McKissick. You would have just.
I probably would have taken either Hardman or Sky Moore.
See, like that's in my point. Like, it just there's no. What's the difference? I guess I get your guy and then get the quarterback, but either one, they're so down on the board. You're gonna get whoever you want.
It's probably negligible. Whatever you're sacrificing, but still, it's the principle.
Yeah, it's the principle. Yeah. It's the principle.
I get there's 2 quarterbacks there. My point was literally the fact that the guys we're targeting, no one was most likely going to take them in that instance, in that one little 2-pick thing.
Yeah, I hear you.
I am definitely team grab your guy and then not the quarterback.
Okay, let's see.
And now you have the Diami swap, right? If Dotson doesn't go, are we thinking like, yeah, like let's try to capture a Diami bomb? Like
it's I think it's either that or it's Cam Sims swap, I guess, right? Like that's just what it turns into.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Yeah. What if it is what you need? What if you need the triple?
I tried to call it. I tried to call it last week. It didn't quite get us there, but
okay, let's see. I'm curious now. What's Nez's clean swap to win this?
Oh, actually, well, what do these other guys have? I didn't quite realize that.
Okay, so Nez is right here.
I need McKinnon to go
just
nut.
Nuclear. Yeah, you need 20 something points from McKinnon, and it's just a 1v1 versus Pacheco.
Is that for most of these? I actually have not checked.
Pacheco, they're all duped. They're duped 3 times.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Yeah, you're the only one with McKinnon.
Let's go, baby.
Let's
go, Jarek.
Pacheco. Yeah, it looks like you have that.
Everyone's writing off McKinnon, going down in snaps, blah, blah, blah. He's going to score that first touchdown for Nezzy.
Man, I'm running so pure. It would just be the cherry on top if on a Monday night. Now I didn't realize I had so much to pay attention to. Damn. Well,
I mean, I don't know if the lineup spot. I didn't, do a deep dive of everything around you and whatnot. So, but
oh yeah, it's just clean outs or not.
No, I got too much hope now, man. I'm mad hopeful. Do we want to do one more of the prime times?
Yeah, let's do one more. I was
Jarek McKinnon shirt.
I was curious
just for tonight.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear Eric just talking about his teams. Yeah, no, Eric, nobody cares about your teams, man. It's just
yeah.
That one was actually yeah. We kind of shows it. That's a beautiful team. That's exactly what we dreamt
man.
Our
Getting Kelsey
team
and
would
Jacobs
look like.
is fire.
Yeah, well, this is plausible though. It's getting Terry that makes it crazy, right? Because getting Kelsey Jacobs at the 1-2 turn is basically there all the time. But I think he's just trolling us right now, to be honest.
You gotta be.
Yeah. He's
Get this guy.
It's working.
Yeah, put him in a timeout.
Yeah,
Gosh.
put him in a timeout.
How am I supposed to like congratulate you for your great teams and have to figure out if it's a troll on the fly? Like it's like
we're far too gullible. We're far too gullible.
Yeah, I literally
pull that shit over my head, boys. I can sniff that out a mile away. I sniffed that out a mile away.
Bits for literally with us, and I'm just over here like, oh, I'm sweating it. He's like, well, freaking course I'm sweating the game. It's a bit. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm the Forrest Gump meme. I'm not a smart man.
I sleep through the games, boys. I sleep through the games. I get up at 3 a.m.
It's a 3-hour dog park session with Tucker.
Yeah. Day one badge, bro. No trolling. Like it. Respect. Oh,
this is interesting from the 3-hole. So I kind of like being at this spot here, just because you can really get an idea of how you want your team to look based on these first 2 picks.
Yeah, basically, I think this has kind of been the chalk start so far that I've been seeing. I've seen Adams sneak in there a couple times, or I've seen when you're playing with more recreational players that they go double quarterback to start there. But I think the chalk kind of start is these 2 go off the board, and then you're left with the decision to basically, do we reach on Waller because we want that tight end security blanket, or do we build out a mini stack with a quarterback and a pass catcher, most likely Connor Adams, or do we go, running back from one side, wide receiver from another game, and then hope the quarterbacks fall? I think that's like the 3 parts of the decision tree.
I like waiting on the tight end now that you pointed out, Thomas.
Yep.
So
what do you like?
For me, I would go Devontae, but I mean, you could definitely teach me into Jacobs if you wanted to, but I would go Devontae.
I like Devontae here.
Okay.
I think his ceiling makes more sense than Jacobs does in this matchup. I really do think that the Raiders are gonna have to throw the hell out of the football tonight.
Hey, they could just dump it to Jacobs like they got you that 10K, man. It was like, you know what? This is for Nez.
Yeah. Guy's got Josh Jacobs galaxy brain, man.
Yeah.
This guy has Josh Jacobs galaxy brain now. He's like, just throw him in there every lineup, Why not?
I've been such a proponent of his for like years, like thinking that
he's last game.
I have no idea, but I was such a fan of his talent, and we could go freaking.
Yeah, see, like my mind instantly goes like, okay, you want something? We want to paint a narrative on either side of the ball. But if you want to do your Jacobs onslaught here, now that I like it better now that Carr is off the board, so he's not even in play for us. So I kind of like it. Like we could just go with this narrative and go like, hey, we're going to onslaught Vegas here and bring back one of the KC pass catchers because there's 1,000 of them and there's basically nothing else on the Vegas side.
I'm glad you did that. We're getting Renfroe back is going to definitely add a wrinkle as far as who we think is going to score the most points for the Raiders, but Jacobs is so heavily involved that it's just great, and Adams is still an alpha. I really like that start. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, I like it too. And now this is very fun because Fields goes first, and we get left with Wentz, which just allows us to, this allows us for the fuck around on 10. The fuck around and the find out is on 10 now, so we get to mess around. I think it's mandatory that we pick one of these two next.
Definitely.
I think Terry, but either one.
I'm team Terry by like a pretty considerable projectable landslide, in my opinion.
I think Terry could do what JJ did to that defense. I mean, they don't they just can't defend. So if Carson Wentz has a chance to maybe throw a couple, or just the balls that he throws normally for interceptions just aren't picked off because they can't catch or they're bad, I don't know. It's just that defense is so bad that Terry should eat. There's no one that's going to be able to guard him.
Yeah. Let's talk about, let's talk about this. Now we assume our quarterback. We already know our quarterback here. We do not want Renfroe on this team, in my opinion.
I think Marquez Valdez, and then we get Logan MBS, Thomas and Wentz.
I have a really gross suggestion of Cole Kmet.
Yeah, this was basically the decision point right here, is which of these two do you want here? Because for me, MVS and Hardman and Sky Moore are kind of all the same. And I think I don't want to double stack in this build with Wentz. I think I want to just have the one-off with Terry, and I'd rather have the bring back from the other side. I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of where I was leaning to for whatever reason. I don't know.
My thought process for that is there's for whatever it's worth, because the Bears throw so goddamn little, they are throwing incrementally more. And there is, I do still have hopes that the Washington football, or that the Commanders are actually like a half decent team. And like Numi just said, and what we just saw, Bears got shellacked against the Vikings. I don't think it's absolutely impossible that Wentz is highly efficient. McLaurin gets home, they're scoring points and putting the Bears in a position where no matter how much they freaking don't want to, they're going to have to throw more. And there's our storyline for Kmet.
Okay, I think we can make a case here now to take the McKissick pass catching floor as our second Washington pass catcher, or we can get the bring back in any one of these KC guys. Someone say a name.
Sky Moore, dude, or Sky Moore or Hardman. I think we need to get like one of the weird KC pass catchers, because we have so much. We have some pretty good floor on our team here that I think that if we get like one of the weird pass catchers, like this team is fighting for first.
Yeah, I think I like that line of thinking too. In this kind of dynamic, I was also thinking McKinnon, because he's the run back of the pass catching wide receiver, though the volume isn't necessarily as projectable as it once was. It's just a very interesting thought that, like, okay, if this team pushes out, like we're going, Vegas is killing it right now, right? We got 3 touchdowns between these two. That means Mahomes and them are playing catch up, and it goes dump off McKinnon game. And I guess he represents kind of more floor and touchdown equity than Sky Moore does. But I don't know. It was a very interesting team. There was a lot of fun ways. And I think that's why these 2-game slates are so damn fun, is because you can paint a narrative in any direction that you want where this shit makes sense, right?
Right. Yeah, you got to get showdown brain with it, which is always a fun exercise to kind of to tell yourself like how things are going and what other people are doing. It's a puzzle for sure, but not as gross as I expected this room to be. Like, we still have, like, look as the last pick on the board. I mean, he has to go tight end, unfortunately, but these skill positions, like Brian Robinson going undrafted, Jerick McKinnon going undrafted, those are like decent last round options. I think you can do what we just
De'Ami
told
Brown
ourselves
would break this slate with his performance last week. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
and if the Bears are going to continue to be not good defensively, I'm probably going to have a lot of Brian Robinson on here. I really thought that he looked spry. He didn't burst any big gains or anything like that, but I think that there's going to be some opportunities for him and with some green zone carries this game coming up.
Yeah, and I mean, for a dude getting shot to come back and play 18 snaps like right away, 29%, I'm pretty sure it was 9 carries. Like every time he was in there, it was like get him the ball, right? Yeah, he had 9 carries. He had 9 carries, granted for 22 yards, but like you clearly see that narrative of everything we heard in the preseason, and everything we heard was this team is done with Antonio Gibson. Like they're just kind of over it, and they're pretty content with, you know, McKissick being the pass catching down role, and like Brian Anderson is the man of the future here, right?
Yeah, so Robinson. Yeah, not the Miami Marlin.
Yeah. Yeah. Baseball brain all the time. Yeah, but Brian Robinson just being like, and we talked about it on the show earlier last week, where we're like, man, if we just look at the track record, and granted, they're all different players and they're all different people and all different skill sets, but we just look at the track record of Alabama running backs coming out that played multiple years in college that then just jump into a starting role, like it's pretty damn good. And you know, there's no reason to think that like he's my highest drafted player, pat on the back to me, maybe if it pans out one day. He is my highest drafted big board player because of that. I was drafting him because I thought he was the most pro-ready running back before we even knew landing spot. I was like, this guy's pro-ready. He's going to touch the ball a lot wherever he goes, right? You guys got time? Yeah. One more, no more.
I got it.
Yeah, if you don't make me draft Cole Kmet, I'm down.
Oh, come on, brother. Believe in the
You drafted Cole Kmet over a free Logan Thomas. I don't know if I'm going to get – my day's ruined.
Oh, brother, listen.
Hey, take solace in the fact that it's my money, not yours. Don't worry.
There you go. The thesis of the play is that Justin Fields is not bad. He's not. I do not care. He's not bad.
The thesis is he's not great, though. He's not good.
Oh, tough room. Do you guys want to get a little different here? We got the 101 this time. Do you guys want to get a little different and take Mahomes just for the bit equity for the streaming stake?
Yeah. Let's give our viewers something new to watch.
Oh,
I'm excited about that. And we may, get Jacobs on the way back, maybe.
Put it out there.
Burn some sage. Get some good vibes going.
We've already got a Jacobs.
Yeah, but we don't have it with the Mahomes run back.
We love to see it.
If we get the Jacobs and then we mix some of the grossest KC pass catchers you've ever seen on one team, if we get like the Mecole Scott, get gross with me. Get gross with me. Just think about it.
I like it.
We don't have to.
A Mahomes double that's like Sky Moore and Mecole Hardman.
Right. Yeah. If it's the
Justin Watson. Watson.
Oh, come on now. You're getting me. He's gone. Newbie can't be associated with
Newbie can't turn his cash game brain off, man.
Come on, fam.
I don't even play cash games. I play GPPs, and that's just wild.
Hey, actually, speaking of cash games, shout out to me, eh? Shout out to me building the nice 226 there.
Dude,
actually,
that's not you, huh?
Yeah, it's me. But it was my cash build that then I pivoted to get a little different with Dalvin and Gabe Davis, and then kind of kept all the chalky pieces in there. So it was like this little hybrid thing for like small field.
That's a monster score, dude.
Yeah, I probably should put it in the 5K. I would have won 200. But yeah, you hate to see it. It felt so chalky though. It was kind of like, I don't know.
Dude, my biggest wins on DraftKings were like before I was really into these streets, and I was like, oh yeah, these are the best plays, and it was mad chalky in the Millie Maker, and I won like $100, and I was like, I'm a god, like I cannot be touched. 2015 vibes.
What do you guys think of that? We get a run back, and we get the last volume horse on there.
Yeah.
Numi can give the final say since I
nope,
gave
I'm
us
down
the
with that.
Commit.
I think we get the highest projectable volume through those two players,
I like both.
and we take the positions of quote unquote scarcity.
The reason
at
I
this
like
current
this too,
moment.
yeah, and I like this too because I'm not saying we have to do my wild wacky route of taking like the ancillary pieces for Mahomes, but if a lot of people are going Mahomes 101, and so many of them are like that Juju pick for them is automatic. I'm surprised MVS went there, but I would think that Juju would be like an automatic stack for a lot of Mahomes people, and now we kind of get leverage off of those Mahomes teams.
Yeah, I like that. And I think it's pretty rare that Waller falls that far. I think after the Kelsey goes, I think a lot of people go Galaxy Brain in the middle of this board and go like, oh, I took Carr, I didn't get Adams, I'm going to stack Waller and get that leverage. So I think we found ourselves into a pretty unique room and start to a unique build. Right
Very
there.
unique room with this guy picking next to us. That's taking Derek Carr at the 102 is that's something. I'll
and sheep going 3 wide receivers and going these guys pointing out he went Samuel over Jacobs or CEH. So love to hear his thoughts on that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just interesting to hear his thoughts on that. Like he obviously sees something there. I don't know what he's looking at, but
I hope he takes it down.
I think he's looking at the blitz.
Close friend of the show. I hope Sheep takes this one. That'd be great on stream with criticism, just in our face. Yeah. But it'd be cooler if we won. But
okay. I guess we're looking at this, some kind of grossness like that at some point. What do we like first? I guess Mooney kind of jumps out as like considerably above the rest of these plays.
I really want Mooney on that on this team. I think
probably Mooney.
Yeah, I think
we
have
just for what he can offer you. I mean, that catch
in
against the Vikings was freaking unreal. Like he could make that against. I mean,
that way we're not getting like super thin.
Yeah, he's a baller.
Yeah,
and if the thesis of Justin Fields being better than he is.
Do we like what I have up on the board here, or do we prefer that?
Let's do McKinnon, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I like McCole or Sky, but I can do McKinnon. I mean,
okay.
It's just I think about McKinnon. He's been kind of being phased out almost, and that's been the only thing that's scaring me.
Definitely,
that's what people were telling me about Lenny too. That's what the people were telling me about.
Okay. Well, let's compare Lenny and freaking Jerick McKinnon.
Jerick McKinnon, man, the classic. Jerick McKinnon was the spark score king, right? He was like one of the highest graded athletic prospects ever. Like coming into the NFL.
He was a Viking. He was a Viking. Oh, yeah. He was with us. Yeah, it was Jet and who was it with him? God, was it Cook for a bit? No, we didn't. Yeah. I don't know. We let Jet walk, and that was sad. And then he tore his ACL
it must have been Adrian Peterson and AP, and then he was back up, and then they kept running Matt Asiata or whatever his name was.
Matt Asiata, baby. Yes, sir.
Yeah. It was like the goal line back.
I forgot he was 2014, so we had PD for a bit.
I don't know if it was the matchup with the Bucks, but yeah, McKinnon not playing a lot last week isn't great considering that total got to 72. But I'm like I said, I'm not sure if it's just like the matchup with the running backs against Tampa, possibly having something to do with that. In that Colts game, we can just kind of throw that out.
All right, let's go with Sky here. And this paints the narrative of trailing game script where Waller gets in the end zone twice, and then we just have the Chicago side of that other game. And we get a little unique in our stacks associated with what's it called? The Chiefs. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. All right, gentlemen, This is another fun show. Better luck to us tonight and tomorrow than the previous week. And anything to add, gentlemen?
I think maybe we'll see. Little afternoon, maybe in the evening, little baseball content for the divisional contest that Underdog threw up there. I think that could be a lot of fun. I know we've got some baseball sickos in this chat with us now. Doesn't necessarily generate the same amount of clicks, but I think that could be a lot of fun to talk through at some point before tomorrow.
I like that a lot. Never talk baseball here. Yeah, I'm super into that. We got some more potential guests this week. Wink, wink. Maybe a couple chasers of ships again. Maybe maybe some people that are friends of the show, familiar with the show, been on the show before, perhaps. And perhaps maybe another guest who has yet to be on the show. Maybe 2 potential guests who have yet to be on the show. So, Badge Bros are making some noise. We're making some noise out here. Appreciate y'all being here. Like, subscribe, follow, all that good shit that the streamer bros say that I always forget to say. I finally Googled what F's in the chat are, and it's not what I thought they were.
No,
they're
you
not
botched
a good
it
thing.
whenever you said it the other day.
Yeah.
F's in the chat are not a good thing. I was just telling people to put F's in the chat.
Yeah. He's over here like someone dying or something.
We need like a new thing. Like if it was easier for people to put like claps, for like golf claps, maybe like a golf ball and a clap. Yeah, whenever we give props to our good lineups, that's our chat
actually
thing.
not know what F's in the chat, man?
Oh man, I don't know any of that kind of shit.
God,
I'm not a nerd.
That is
I'm not
hilarious.
A nerd. Okay, and happy Thanksgiving to all my Canadian friends out there.
Yes.
Oh
happy
yeah,
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. All right. Everybody.
No more DFS jokes with the family outings, by the way.
Yeah, man. That's a good line. I'm gonna lend it to Pete.
That was
for,
hilarious.
November. I'm gonna lend it to Pete for November.
Don't dupe me, bro. He's over there's like this is a motherfucker.
Like, what's wrong with the cranberry sauce?
Yeah. Like, what'd you do to the mashed potatoes?
Oh my god! All right, everybody's favorite time of the show. We will debut the winner's circle hopefully next week. Just a little whoop whoop whoop.
Winner's circle for Min Cash, baby. Let's go. Alive another day.
Hopefully someone takes us up on that offer next week. Hopefully a Badge Bro ships that one, and we can put somebody in the winner's circle with their lineup beside them. It'll be electric. But everybody's favorite time of the show. We'll be back tomorrow. The end.